Before you head out to the challenge course, make sure that you pack any debriefing tools that you might need out of this box, and be sure to bring some extra throwables and ropes if you might need them.
So there are a couple of rules when engaging in the challenge course at SWES. The first rule is to respect. Respect one another and your teammates and your teachers while you're on the challenge course. The next rule is to encourage your teammates using no put down words. Encourage them to do their best work while on the challenge course. And also make sure to include everyone and don't leave anyone out. And also make sure to use only positive words while on this challenge course. And make sure to not use any put down words that would make anyone feel bad. And also remember to be safe and make smart decisions, because that is also important. And the final rule while on the challenge course is challenge by choice, which means that no one has to do anything if they don't feel comfortable with that activity.
This is the wild woozy. You have two people of the same or similar height on the two beams, and they're gonna put their paws out. Make sure it's paws, not claws, so fingers together, and they're gonna lean on each other's hands while slowly moving down till they get further and further apart. The goal is to make it all the way to the end without falling off the beam. Make sure you have at least 3 spotters during this activity, 2 on either side and 1 in the middle. And again, for those spotters, make sure that it is paws, not claws. This activity is called All Aboard. The goal of this one is to get everyone in the group on this platform at one time. If there are a lot of people in the group, you can have them hold on to each other's hands and lean across. This activity is called the electric fence. The object of it is to get everyone inside without touching the ropes, bordering the top or bottom. One thing to make it harder is that if they touch either the top or bottom rope, the last 2 people to go in have to come out. So in this case, since Jordan hit it, Devin has to come out. Also, once someone goes through a spot, it is closed off until the other 3 spots have been gone through. This activity is called caterpillar skis. As you can see, groups of 4 or 5 will go on the skis and work as a team to get from the starting point to a line that you can draw in the ground. If it is up to you as the facilitator to either designate a person who can talk and be the leader, or have the group decide. You can also make it a little bit more difficult by having every other person facing the opposite direction. Also, you can make it even more difficult by not letting anyone be able to talk. If someone happens to fall off or slip off, they can either go to the end of the line and everyone else moves up, or if there's a race, you can have the team go all the way back to the beginning and have them restart. This activity is called log lineup. You can have the group not be able to talk and then line up either using the first letter of their first, middle, or last name. It is up to you as the facilitator. Also, as you can see Rachel doing, she's using the support beams, which you as the facilitator can either allow them or not allow them to use. Also, if the group is having a particularly hard time, they can also use treat cookies to help as a stepping off point so no one falls off. This activity is called spider's web, very similar to electric fence. People go through holes, and if they do not touch a string, they can go over to the other side, or if they don't allow the bell to ring. Make sure that you use spotters in this, because once you use a hole, you cannot use it for the rest of the game. Also, in some cases, As the facilitator, you can allow the group to use sticks to make holes bigger or smaller. This challenge is called 3 Islands. For this one, you have 3 different sized platforms going from starting on the biggest one, and the group has to end on the smallest one. They get to use a plank of wood, as you can see, to move their group from one island to the next. If someone falls off, they have to go back to the beginning island. Also, if the board touches the ground, it has to go, they lose it, and they have to restart. It is your job as the facilitator to make sure that they are doing things safely, and you are now allowing the kids to jump from island to island. This is called the rope swing. In this activity, the group will start on one side, and using the rope swing, they will all individually swing over to the platform right there. To get the rope starts in the middle, and they can use a stick or a sweatshirt to somehow get it over so that they can swing from it. If someone does not make it from that side to the pit, they have to go back to the beginning and try it again. This challenge is called river crossing. The group starts on one of those 3 platforms that they are standing on, and using the 2x4s, they cross over to the ending 3 platforms right here. If your group is a little bit younger or they have problems balancing, you can designate one person to help them walk across as a spotter. And again, make sure that the group is doing things safely so no one's trying to jump from one place to the next. If someone does fall over, they have to go back to those original 3 bridges. This challenge is called Up and Over. Make sure you only use this challenge with high-performing and older groups who are mature enough to support each other when they're trying to go over. To get over, students cannot run and jump. They have to work as a team to lift up people and set them over on the other side. They cannot use the upright beams or the cables as support systems to help them climb up and over. This challenge is the blind maze, and you should only really use it for older kids. To start off with, lead the group here, blindfolded, and then take them one by one and put them on the rope so that they can walk around. The point of this game is for the individuals to ask for help. If someone asks for help, you as a facilitator ask them if they want to get out of the maze, or if they want help to get out of the maze. If they say yes, you can whisper to them that they are now out of the maze. It is important to make sure that you keep on telling them that if they need any help, they raise their hand, and once they are out of the maze, they can stand quietly by and watch the others finish.
So it's important to know a little bit about group stages because it's helpful when you do challenge course and sometimes group initiatives to know where your group is at and what they may or may not be comfortable with doing. So there's 5 stages. First one is forming, and it's when your group is just first coming together and they're kind of just getting to know each other, and they're often a little bit more anxious because they don't know people and they don't know how their group is going to work yet. Storming is the second stage, and this deals with when the group starts to compete with each other and they start to experience conflict, or more conflict than when they are in forming. The third stage is norming, which is when the group starts to create consensuses on the processes that they're going to go through to accomplish a goal. The fourth stage is performing, is where the group is actually starting to do their actions and they have created relationships and expectations for their group. Okay, so the fifth and final stage is adjourning, and this is when the group comes together and discusses their briefs and shares their processes that they went through and how they can improve and how they work together. It's also important to know that your group can go through any of these 5 stages and go back and forth between them. So it's important to think about that and look at where your group is.
Alright, so we have some debriefing activities that you can do, and you will find them in the bin downstairs, or you can bring them with you to the challenge course, which you should do so that you can discuss it out there. So this first one here is a ball, and it has a bunch of different questions on it, so you can toss it around the circle to different people, and they can choose whichever one maybe their right thumb lands on, or something of that matter, and read what it says. For example, why is this experience important? Or how does this relate to real life? Simple questions like that. Alright, we have some other activities here where you can choose an object such as this hand, maybe this ear, or this eye, and the participants can grab one and relate it back to the activity. So for example, this ear could represent that everybody in the activity listened well to the ideas, and maybe this brain could represent that everybody had great ideas and there was a lot of thought put into the process. The last little activity we have here are some cards, and they each have a description word on them or some sort of phrase, and they can be used to describe their experiences. So if you asked your group, well, what did you learn? They might pick this card, which says, mighty be our powers. So they might have felt like they accomplished a lot as a group, or maybe they feel like dancing because they're so happy they got it done.